We all hate Scout, it's a fact. He's fast, annoying, and the people who play him are usually In this short series, I'm going to teach you tips and tricks on how to play and fight all 9 mercenaries in Team Fortress 2, starting with Scout. First, let's talk about his primaries. Typically, people will tell you to use Stock. They're right, most of the time. Stock is just all-around versatile, and it's very useful. However, I'm going to talk about the usage of his other primaries. First, let's talk about the Force of Nature. The Force of Nature is a double-barreled shotgun that only has 2 rounds in the clip and does more damage up close compared to the stock scattergun. The Force of Nature also has a unique attribute where it knocks the player back and the person it hits. The knockback applied to the player only applies if the player is in mid-air. You can also use this mid-air knockback to launch yourself into the air like an angry troll Germain trying to kill that one spy that's been annoying his entire team. In this clip, I boost myself up to where this unsuspecting sniper has been demolishing my team for a little while. I run up to him, blast him, and then his teammate, who's playing Pyro, appears right behind him, lights me on fire with some of the fire particles, since I'm out of his range, but the way the flamethrower works. So I run into the water to put out the fire. Let's move on to next of Scout's primaries, the shortstop. The shortstop is a scattergun with 4 rounds in the clip, has a tight spread, and it also has a shove mechanic, but it's really bad, so you don't really use it outside of pushing people off clips. Usually the shortstop is used at medium range to pepper enemies and kill them from afar. You can use this to damage pyros because since they have limited range, you can abuse this to deal more damage with them and kill them more effectively. You could use the shove to push people off cliffs, but Scout's little noodle arms only push enemies around at 3 centimeters, so it's not really useful aside from if you're memeing around and not really caring about the objective. In this clip, I go on a killing tangent, killing as many enemies, then running away like a coward because the shortstop has a negative stat that states you take more knockback from explosives. Next, we move on to the Soda Popper. Similar to the Force of Nature, it's a double-barreled shotgun. However, unlike the Force of Nature, it has a meter which you can fill up completely and you get 5 extra jumps. In this clip, I get a very lucky shot on the medic, killing him instantly with a random crit. Then I move on to the soldier he was pocketing, and then proceed to die because of a random crit he got. However, if the rocket was not a random crit, I would have had enough health to live, and get also sent across the tunnel because of the more knockback taken from the stats. Next, we move on to one of Scout's worst weapons, the Babyface's Blaster. The Babyface's Blaster has 4 rounds in the clip, and you start slower than usual. This weapon, however, has a gimmick where, depending on its meter percentage, the faster you'll go. The only problem is, if somebody just exists, breathes near you, or hurts you emotionally, you will lose all of your speed. I also forgot to mention, double jumping, Scout's whole gimmick depletes your meter by 75%. In this clip, I grab some boosts from a heavy, then book it to the intel with my speed, alongside another scout. However, I get jumped by the entirety of the other team after grabbing the intel, dying in the process. I also lose my boost, which I probably could have made it out alive, except I did not have enough speed. The only use I could see with the Babyface's Blaster is using it to cap the intel, but then again, it's not even good enough to do that. There are a bunch of different weapon combos that'll do it better than just the Babyface's Blaster. Finally, in my opinion, we move on to the worst of Scout's weapons, the Backscatter. The Backscatter has 4 rounds in the clip, has a wider spread, but does mini crits when you're behind somebody. The mini crits do 1.5 times damage compared to the standard scattergun, or the standard shots from any of Scout's guns. The only issue with the mini crits from hitting somebody from behind is that the hitbox is very specific. If you don't hit it right, you don't get the mini crits. It shares the same issue with Pyro's Backburner and a couple of Spy's knives, for instance the Big Earner, where if you don't hit it just right, the shot does not register as a mini crit. And there you have it, some tips and tricks on how to use Scout's primaries. I hope you found this useful, and I will cover his secondaries next, then move on to his melees. Then we'll move on to Soldier.